evening and welcome to the September 27th meeting of the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners. We're glad that you're all here this evening. We just ask if you have any kind of electronic device or your phone, if you would just silence those for the remainder of our meeting. At this time, we'll stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Let us pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity that we have to come together once again to take care of the business of our county. As we always do, dear Lord, we just ask that you guide our thoughts, our actions, and our words, that everything that we do and say may be pleasing to you and in the best interest of all of us who live here in this county. We thank you for those who are present here tonight. We ask that you give everyone a safe trip as they return to their respective homes. And we pray these things in your name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first order of business would be to adopt the agenda. Are there any changes or any additions? Madam Chair. Hearing none, can we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Have a second? Second. All in favor? Next, we have the finance report. Mr. Beal.
Madam Chair, you have the report in front of you. Find my copy. Nothing really is in there. We did transfer the I lost it.
911.
911, thank you. 911 monies to the general fund, and also we had a surprise earlier in the month. You remember back in the first of the year, we were having, due to the computer issues and internet issues, they had to estimate the payments. Well, they came back and finally got all the receipts posted, and we sent us a $300,000 check to true that up.
Okay.
So we got 300 on the general fund and then 30 and 40 on the fire district.
Okay.
The rest of the accounts are pretty standard. Unless you have any questions.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Beal. All right, you said no one had signed up for citizen comment?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to the minutes. We have the minutes of the September 14th, 2022, 9 a.m. regular meeting. You've had the opportunity to look over these minutes. Are there any changes, corrections, or additions that need to be made?
Hearing none, I make a motion to accept.
Do we have a second? Second. All in favor? Minutes are approved. We do not have need for a public hearing tonight. We do not have any appointments to make and no unfinished business. So we're going to move right on to new business. And our first item is the proclamation and remembrance of Vernon and Norma Phillips. We're glad to have some of the Phillips family with us tonight. And we also have some Ms. Hannah Flynn, who's chair of the Department of Public Health, Laurie Roberts, county nurse manager, and Connie Walton, who is also an employee with the Department of Public Health, where Ms. Phillips served on the board. So at this time, we're just going to read the proclamation, and when we do, we just like to ask if the family members at the end come up here and we'll present you with the proclamation, and we'd like to take a picture as well. A proclamation in remembrance of Vernon Phillips Sr. and Norma D. Phillips. Whereas both Vernon Phillips Sr. and Norma D. Phillips were longtime residents of Meriwether County and both served as county commissioners. Vernon Phillips Sr. served as commissioner from 1979 to 1982, and Norma D. Phillips served as commissioner from 1991 to 1994. She was elected chairman of the Board of Commissioners in 1994. And whereas Vernon Phillips Sr. entered his heavenly home on November 4th, 2020, and Norma D. Phillips entered her heavenly home on June 19th, 2022. And whereas Vernon Phillips Sr. and Norman D. Phillips were loving parents to their children, Beverly Wilson, Clint D. and Laura Wilson, Johnny Phillips Jr., Lynn Phillips, deceased, and Tracy and Mike Buchanan, grandchildren Chase Wilson, Drew Hunt, Jessica W., Kyle Johnson, Jordan, Courtney Estes, Josh Phillips, and Zachary Estes, Great-grandchildren, Carter Estes, Elizabeth Hunt, Emerson Johnson, Lance Johnson, Maggie Estes, Pearson Hunt, George Hunt, and James Hunt. And whereas Vernon Phillips Sr. and Norma D. Phillips were charter members of Harmony Church of the Nazarene in Warm Springs, and whereas Vernon Phillips Sr. and Norma D. Phillips were both entrepreneurs, they owned and operated a service station, car lot, residential rental property, land, cattle, and a logging company. And whereas Vernon Phillips Sr. and Norma D. Phillips were both active in their community through public service. Vernon Phillips Sr. was a member of the Lions Club, American Legion Post 186, where he served as commander in the VFW post in Warm Springs. Norma D. Phillips served on the Meriwether County Board of Health from January 1999 until her passing. During her time on the Board of Health, she served as chairperson from January 2003 until December 2016. Norma D. Phillips was a mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, mentor, and friend to all. And now be it proclaimed by the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners on the 27th day of September 2022 that Vernon Phillips Sr. and Norma D. Phillips be and are hereby recognized for their outstanding service to the citizens of Meriwether County. And be it proclaimed further that the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners does hereby extend our deepest condolences to the family upon their passing. If you don't mind, y'all will come over, or y'all tell us where you want us to stand. Beverly or somebody else.
Tell us. What's easiest for you? We'll just do it right here with the hands. Madam Chairman, you mind coming over this way? It's a little bit easier for us.
You can see it by all means. Y'all can come on up here and say that.
Be sure I can't see you. You're gonna have to come meet me.
She wants to see the picture.
Thank y'all very much.
We'll leave all the fun for you guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for coming.
My mother, I just want you to know that my mother, we know how much she loved Meriwether County. Because if things were bad, she took it out on us. We knew it. But I want you to know she didn't just love it. She lived it and it ran through her veins and her heart. So thank you very much.
Thank you. When you served, your family serves along with you.
You better believe it. My mother, you know we served.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Let them get on out. Then we'll move. Yeah. All right, our next item on the agenda is the 2022-2023 budget. We were given copies of this at our last meeting. I guess we'll just have a time of discussion or questions or whatever anybody has.
I do,
Uh-huh.
I just want to make, not so much a question, I just want to make a statement in reference to the fire district. I understand, I wasn't at the meeting when there were some decisions to take some of the things out and put it in the general fund. And I know, like everything, you've got to have a balanced budget, but I would love for this board and the coming board to look at as many options as they possibly can for funding. Even now, there is funding through the state opera fund. I think there were several counties that did apply for funding. Knowing the deficit that this department has, I do believe there's got to be some more creativity about bringing in funds. Residentially, this county is growing, but commercially, this county is not growing. Most counties get their money more from commercial than anything else. So until that comes, we still have to provide this service to the citizens. So even for looking for funding through DCA, I don't know the last time this county even applied for anything to DCA. So I'm just encouraging between now and the end of the year, if we as a board can look at options. We're not gonna, several of us are not gonna be here at the beginning of the first of the year, but this is a service just like our public safety, in the sense that it's needed, it's required, and it's a costly. There's no doubt, and unfortunately, it's not gonna get any cheaper.
So just the way everything has gone up, it's sort of.
Well, I mean, it's
out of.
and we're not different than any other county as far as resources go, is trying to be, but we just gotta be a little bit more creative. I do believe I sent some upcoming grants to Michelle recently. And I also want to propose to this board, and hopefully maybe the upcoming board members would look at, once again, obtaining a grant writer, or bringing someone in that can let you know about these opportunities. Because most times when you hear about these grants, you have a very short window to apply. And a lot of times, if you have someone that you have contracted or whatever, they can be on top of this so that we can take advantage of the opportunities. Because as we bring on more employees, that's gonna cost, but I'm looking at equipment, vehicles, that is probably the biggest increase and will continue to be the biggest increase. So these are just my comments in reference to that part of the budget. And the only other thing I wanted to, I know the department heads brought in what they felt would be operable, but I see the coroner's session has dropped tremendously. And if Bill could elaborate a little bit on that.
Let me find it real quick.
336.
Department 37.
There's just my getting there. There's 3 or 4 line items that she decreased in her budget, which brought it down to that 54,600 number.
Has she brought, or to you or to Michelle's attention, about a morgue, that the county in need of a morgue?
She has not, but I did respond to an email she sent to me yesterday regarding a stretcher, that she's needing a larger stretcher. So while we meet, I'll see if there are any other needs that she has.
And this also, once again, this is one of those departments where you can find a lot of funding. That's not always true for other departments. So once again, those are just my comments and statements.
she had mentioned the need for that with me, but they are very costly, and the hospital only has room for 2 to 3 in their morgue. But also stretcher wise, we may need to check with EMS. They may have one that is in decent shape that can be utilized for her department too.
Yeah. At this point, she just has a variety of clientele, and sometimes you need a larger stretcher.
Sorry.
But I will say on what Shirley said too, that if we look for this funding for the fire department, we need to make sure that it's sustainable. A lot of the grants end in 1 or 2 years, so we need to figure it out. We don't want 1 or 2 years being okay with that and then dropping off and having to figure it out. So whatever we look at, it does need to be sustainable. But I think that we actually need to postpone approving the budget tonight. There's still some questions that I have in reference to it. So I make a motion to not adopt the agenda tonight.
Does anybody else have any questions? Ms. Plant, do you have anything? I mean, we have discussed a few things here. We'll meet again in 2 weeks. It's not like
Right.
business will continue to go on anyway, but, now go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I'll just make a motion to not approve the budget tonight and to place it on our next agenda.
All right, do we have a second?
Just table it.
Right. Or just table, you're making.
Well, we can table it, but it's the same thing, Beverly.
All right, we have a second.
Second.
All in favor? All right, so if anybody else has any questions, whatever, I know Mr. Bill's getting some information together on a couple of things. We can just, if we could get those in pretty quickly to them, so we can get it back to us, you know, so we can get to, get this approved next week.
And feel free to reach out to us. We'll get it coordinated and get the answers back to you.
County government will still go on. So, okay, thank you. All right, next is a discussion of countywide trash collection.
I actually asked for this to be placed on. It's been a subject of concern ever since I've been on the board, and this is my 10th year, and nothing has been done as of yet to move forward with it. But I did have, unlike some commissioners, I don't have that many people call me in my area and complain, but there have been several complaints with the private companies in the area doing trash service. And that complaint is it has doubled in price over the past 6 months. And some of the individuals have 2 trash cans and they're paying an astronomical annual amount for this to be done. And we have an aging fixed income population that I don't think can sustain this. And I think as a county, we provide a lot of services and we found the finances to do other services. I still think we need to find the most reasonable method and maybe try 2 sites throughout the county, one in between maybe Buster, yours, and mine, and the one in between Buster, Shirley's, and Roseland's district, so that it is centralized for all districts to be able to get to those. And just something very simple, 3 containers at each, a very small building that we can put a heat and AC unit in, fenced in area, a half circle drive with gravel so that they can do it a couple days a week in that area, a couple days a week in the other area, just to provide these citizens a place to take their trash and not having to be paying a private company double the price.
But you still have people that can't even
Right.
get to a site either.
Right.
That's still
Right.
a problem. And some of our neighboring counties, they do it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They're just open those 3 days, or maybe Monday too, maybe Friday through Monday. And we have been in talk with Harris County, Michelle, in the past about theirs. They do have the benefit of having state prison, so they use state inmates to
But they do it
run
on
the
their
program.
taxes.
But the citizens pay for it on their taxes. It's a line item, and I think that's still an allowable thing on your taxes. You know, they had made some legislative changes where you could not have all those add-ons, but I believe garbage collection was still one of them.
But I don't want to add it to the taxes. I want us to figure it out for free.
Madam Chair, this is a problem, not just here, everywhere, and even just offering a recycling option as well. Unfortunately, we have no control of what private companies do as far as their pricing go, but it is getting to be a lot more. I think even just having a work session or having, find out what the surrounding counties are doing, like you said, what Harris County is doing, but the size of this county and having it central, different places for people to go is gonna be crucial, but the biggest thing is manpower. So, I mean, it's not impossible to get done, but it has to be done, because if you don't keep a handle on it, it's gonna get worse.
And most of the counties that I have visited their sites, they have maybe a retired person that wanted to do something part-time. At each facility, it gives that individual a little extra money and income.
Because basically what they do is just oversee it, make sure it's
Right.
somebody who lives in the county that's doing it. They don't actually physically
Check the ID if needed.
unload and stuff. Well, and unfortunately, you know, we've had, for the most part, one hauler in our county, And they had contracts for all the cities, I think. And for whatever reason, they never had a price increase for many, many years. And they sold their company, but then the new company came in, and I think they thought those prices were ridiculous they were getting. And then now everybody has a fuel surcharge on it because of that, so it's even more, because if you look at your bill now, it has a
But they
surcharge
didn't
on it.
decrease that after the
Huh?
fuel went down.
I'm talking about, no, I'm about, yeah, now.
But they left it on there,
Yeah.
even though the fuel came down, they left the surcharge on there.
So I don't know if their pricing is way out of line, or if it's just we were so accustomed to this company who didn't change their prices for 10 or 15 years.
But as much property as the county has, I'm sure that we could find an acre to 2 acres in each area of the county to do this with. The expense would
We still have an
be,
area out in,
and if we could utilize
city.
that, then that would work.
built out there.
In Durant.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to add to any tax amount at all. I want us to do a free service for them.
Any other questions or comments?
All right, Michelle, get you a dump truck. Get you drive.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, next is the BOC radio system proposal. And I know this is something we had talked about at a previous meeting.
You can stay seated, Brian, if you want.
All right. I'm coming to you just slower than normal. So a couple meetings ago, I came to you with some issues that we've had with our public safety communications, and I just want you guys to please take to heart. I'm not coming to you as one department, I'm coming with many. Public safety in general has had issues with their communications for as long as I've been here. We have added to it, and still it just doesn't seem to be enough. And what I mean by that is the type of system that we have doesn't really give you much penetration into buildings and other areas. So I spoke to you some months back about going up on this tower, and that's still in the works. But a POC radio system is basically, it's called push to talk over cellular. And basically what you're doing is you're utilizing the cell towers instead of your own radio towers. What that does for us basically is it allows us to pay a subscription fee, and we don't have to worry about our primary radio towers. We don't have to worry about towers getting tipped over. We don't have to worry about having to relocate to another tower and, and costing us, many thousands of dollars to do that. We've been demoing about 40 radios for the last 2.5 months. And so far, we've had nothing but positive results. We've been talking in places that we've never been able to talk in. They utilize the AT&T system first, and then they'll jump onto T-Mobile. So if you lose AT&T signal, it'll look for T-Mobile. We have identified a few dead spots here and there, but nothing like the current system. What this does for us is basically gives us 2 systems, and it gives us the redundancy that's required for public safety. Many counties out there, when they go to a new system, they still keep their old system, and we'd be doing the same just in case it happens. Somebody cuts a wire, somebody cuts something and takes that tower down. But as a whole, they're up more than ours would be. And being that the county is FirstNet customers on the AT&T system, we get priority service when those towers go down. I brought Colonel Hadley, and Chief Danny Stevens couldn't be here, so Captain Etheridge is here in their stay just to maybe just kind of identify and tell you guys what experience their people have had with them, so forth. So you want to say anything?
Yeah, that's fine. The radio system that we had previously had very bad coverage, very bad service. People were able to communicate with the system we had here. The only thing that we have anything that we're concerned is that, as you know, the cell phone towers can go down, so we need to keep this other system. That's what I've talked to Billy about, and still keep this other system where it can be utilized if it needs to be in the process. And, but we're able to talk inside the buildings, and you actually understand the communication is, I would say, on a scale of 1 to 10, is compared to where we were at, it's a 10. Or where we were able to talk previous with these systems now. It's all beginning stages, and I don't want to jump out here and try to say that this is the best thing since sliced bread, because I don't know that to the front end, but it's definitely been an improvement on our end. We just need to be able to communicate out here, especially if we have an officer that needs assistance, and Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong, these have a distress signal that they can push, and we'll know, because there's times I've been in these situations where radio gets knocked out of the way, you ain't even got it where you can get to it to call somebody. So being able to, when you have to fight somebody, so if you're able to push that button, if that happens, other units can come to you. So it's been a good benefit for us at this stage of the game. So that's pretty much all that.
Thank you, Colonel.
Madam Chair, I have a question. So you've been testing this?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you been testing?
Almost 90 days, about 2.5 months.
Searching network.
So I understand you're in a position to cover areas that you normally didn't get coverage. What I wanted to know is, like so much technology, it changes constantly. So as with this company, as new things come about, what type of agreement or how do they enhance things as you grow and as the system change?
Well, he's constantly growing. The company's constantly growing. He has this actual radio manufactured for him. And he controls what firmware updates go into that, and that basically means how the radio functions and operates and works on the back end. Additionally, he's agreed to service any new radios that come out in the next 3 years. He will give our frontline people, our paid people, our career-based people, he will replace those radios for nothing with the newer radio. The other thing is the fact that the amount that I came to you with, that's for everybody, okay? You have that in your notes there. I think we're somewhere like $254,000. For just Meriwether County to do it, and what that would do is that would put a portable in every volunteer's hand as well. We've gotten that down to right at $200,010. I've been able to water down the other tower project here by $30,000 because there's things on there that we wouldn't necessarily have to have right now if we had this system. Something to to put towards this project.
What was the total price on that tower?
$110,000 is what you give me, right at $100,000 and plus $10,000 for a building.
And then you've cut that by 30?
Yes, sir.
So it's 80,000?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
So really and truly, $334,000 total between the two systems.
Yeah.
And what was the tower that you brought before us that was going to take care of all of this, and we're going to be able to communicate better? So why now aren't we able to?
That was moving from the sheriff's office tower where everybody's compacted on there to the tower up here on the hill,
Right.
where we just spread everything out and get them higher up.
Right.
And then purchase new equipment for it.
Right. And we were going to do that, and what has changed?
As far as that goes, well, we just got the agreement back from the lawyer's office about 3 weeks ago, but we were waiting to bring this to you to see, what we could do.
So if you cut it by 30 and it's still 80,000, beyond that for the tower, what additional equipment are you going to need to be able to utilize the system off of that tower?
The biggest cost on that is what's called a combiner, and that's where you're able to use the antennas.
I'll need that. What's the additional cost over the tower? What additional equipment cost will you need past that? You can cut that off.
I'm trying. Okay. What cost above?
What other equipment, I don't need to know the names, but cost-wise for equipment past the 80,000 for that tower, will you need additional? 100,000, 80,000, another 60,000 for equipment that's going to feed off of this tower?
30,000 was what they cut it by.
No, what additional
Additional.
amount of money are we looking at? This is gonna cost 80,000 to
Okay.
set up this tower. So the equipment that you have now, will it work off of that tower for 80?
Well, yes, because it's utilizing the AT&T system on that tower.
Right, so are we needing updates on the equipment you currently have that will operate off of this tower?
No.
No additional cost other than 80,000.
Are you're referring to what we currently have?
Is it going to work?
Yes.
For how long?
Well, I mean, it's already antiquated as it is, but I mean, what's that's going to allow us to do basically is go back to our VHF system where we were before we got our tower tore down. Basically, it's just putting us back where we were.
I'm just trying to figure out, do we really need the tower and what we have in front of us if we do that?
That's why I held up to talk to y'all. Because we had talked about scratching that project. I went and saw what we could do to water it down. Because we still want to maintain at least enough that's going to function if something happens with these. Now, I understand you're saying, okay, you're wanting to put money into two systems. Well, no, I want to purchase the new system and fix the old, so we have a good redundant system. Because as it stands now, we can marry this system into the old system, but it's not encrypted. That'll take us out of the encryption, meaning secret squirrel. Okay.
So the radios pretty much will cover everything. Your concern is if the towers go
Yes,
down.
It's just like Colonel Hadley was talking
You
about.
need the backup.
But these do not run off of the towers.
No, well, they do, sir, but they run off cell towers, the cell towers.
Not the-
And that's why you have currently, I think we have 7 or 8 AT&T towers in this county. And they're currently putting them up because we're FirstNet customers. So they're trying to fill in whatever gaps. They have a brand new one going up on your district, I believe. No, whose district is it? No, it's Commissioner McCoy's over there on Imlac Road, where they put up the new Verizon tower. AT&T's put one up right across the street. But I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. We've been able to talk in places that we never could before. And the features on these, like I said, we can track the radio, we can find the radio, we can kill the radio if one of them lose it. So we don't have some person out there, keying up and trying to interrupt. There's just a lot more that we can do with this system, and it kind of puts us on a level playing field with the bigger counties, what they're able to do.
For me, I would like you to do a proposal with everything that you would need in it to us. You don't have to present, just give it to Michelle. And I would also like a separate proposal dealing with the tower that we had already approved to be done. We want to look at the ifs and the nots and the what can and what can'ts, because we don't want to stick 80,000 up on a tower and it's really irrelevant and useless if we're going to go with this system. So we need that, because we don't want to spend the 80 there, I don't, and then 254,000 on this.
No, 200,000, sorry.
254 is what it is.
I know, and I apologize, but that
So
was
it's 200,000?
$200,010 is what the quote was, the new quote I got, and that's just Meriwether County. He had sent me a quote that included the Board of Education, which they're looking at these as well. Woodbury wants them. That was Woodbury's quote as well. I haven't had enough radios to give to Manchester for a demo, but they're interested as well.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
With the other municipalities interested in that quote, would that help reduce the cost since you've gone a collective, more people involved? Would that be more negotiable?
Well,
And I'm just asking, I don't know.
I've already negotiated it down to where if we were to buy all the radios for everybody, they would actually pay the county back. And he has told us that he would never go above 75,000 for the subscription fees per year.
Okay, so do that in the proposal for us, show exactly what each city would be responsible for paying us back. And let us see the actual dollars, because this is not actual, this is a total of everything. So break it down for us, let us see exactly what we will be recouping back from them. And then on the 75,000 annual, is that going to be divided partially with the cities that
Yes.
participate? So we need that too, so we can look at a real number. This isn't, it's real, but it's a whole number, so we need it broken down for our number.
That was all except for the first year. The first year was like 92,000, but every year thereafter, from years 1 through 5.
And then if we do that, we need an intergovernmental agreement between us and the cities for that.
Of course we do.
All right, let me ask, are the radios you have now that you're proposing, you're using the cell towers?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the system our old system, what are we using there?
It's called VHF.
Okay.
Some of it is digital mobile radio, that's called DMR, and some of it is just plain old analog.
So if the cell towers go down, it has no effect on those?
No, they're two separate systems.
Okay.
So,
VHF is too close to VHS, old.
I know, and it's about as old. Oh, I'm sorry, older.
Madam Chair, the tower that we had talked about doing, the one, have you actually done the work, or we just approved?
We put a hold on it when these came up, just because we wanted to see what you said, like Commissioner Threadgill has brought up, about what do we want to do? Do we want to continue on this, or do we want to stop and just put the brakes on? Unfortunately, doing that, this has kind of saved our butts in the last few months.
I do think you bring that whole total back with what each city would be, and then the annual amount with the breakdown on what it would cost the county, then it would help us.
Yeah, now, so far right now, the only two on board, the only one on board is Woodbury. I have not had the opportunity to get Manchester radios to demo, so they don't even really know. I mean, he knows it's there and wants to demo it, but I mean, we've actually identified our dead areas, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to identify more of them, if, they are, the far and few. One thing I'll tell you right now, the Cove,
So that's what I was gonna ask, what about the Cove, is it still dead?
it's still dead. Well, not all of it, not
Even
all
with
of it,
the new,
not all of it. From Station 9, which is in the Cove, at the 3400 block, right up the Pebblebrook Road, it's in and out. Now, this also includes radios for the vehicles that will have a rooftop antenna. They will get better reception than this being inside the vehicle.
could we install, and this is my ignorance, could we install some type of ping system halfway between the cove that may be elevated that would catch off of the two towers in between for that dead area? Would that help?
For VHF or for this system?
I don't know. I just need something to ping.
Old
off
system or new system? How about that?
The new or
Okay.
old, just to get a signal.
New system, I don't know yet, okay? Old system, it would just be another tower that we'd put up there.
I know there's probably other dead areas in our county, but that seems to have
They're
been
far and few
the
between.
that seems to be the most persistent
It is.
problem
Yes,
area.
ma'am. That and Highway 100 between mile marker 7 and 8.
As isolated as it is, it's even more scarier for somebody to be out there and not have
Right.
service. I mean, for public safety to be out there.
That's right.
Have you tried it through there, Byron? Through the cove? No.
No, I can already tell you
Let me-
something.
Let me just, if I can explain this, just so that you understand our position. There's always gonna be dead spots, and just tell you, I've been doing this for 35 years, and I don't care what radio system you got, you're gonna have areas that it can be from me to you, it's a dead spot, and I get on the other side of you and I pick up the coverage. We don't care what system you go with, we just need something that works. Regardless of whether it's this, dialing in the NASA and getting them to send the signals, we don't care. We just need something that's gonna work. And since I've been here at Meriwether County, it's 10 years now, our radios have been our number one issue with our people as far as their concern of their safety. So whatever it takes. Now, see, like I said, it took 35 years doing it. There was a time where we had a car radio when I started out, and there was very few portable radios, and they was carried back then. So you definitely was there. But right now, the times we're living in, the main thing we need is something that's gonna work.
And we want y'all to have the best. I just want to know, are we gonna waste 80,000 there and get this, or if it's gonna be
The
best?
point I'm making about this is y'all, each one of y'all here probably know that the cell phone towers in this county have went completely down, that you can't even talk. Well, if that happens, we lose this. We've gotta have that. If you go with this, we've gotta still be able to use that VHF. Now, if y'all can if that VHF can work and serve the purpose and rectify everything where we can communicate, I mean, I have no issue with that. And I'm all about saving money, but people's got to be able to talk out here.
That's why I went back.
Especially when, at this stage of the game, since I've been here, this is the only thing that's been close enough to being able to, where we've been able to communicate. If you listen to what we were listening to before, you couldn't even understand it when they're dispatching from over there. And I told y'all before that I'd come all the way up until I couldn't communicate on secure until I got to the Greenville city limits when we was at the stage where we couldn't communicate because this tower going there. Whatever it takes to fix it, that's all we, from the sheriff's office standpoint, is
And that's why I went back and tried to shave $30,000 off this project, because it would be just a secondary system. But the reality of it is, right now, neither one of the fire or that is working appropriately on the central tower. Everywhere else is working okay. We got 4 towers in the county for each department, and those are north, south, central, and east. And 503 square miles, they still don't catch every corner.
So the testing that you've done, is that captured so we can actually see it? Or is it just, oh, I can hear better over here? Or is there actually a testing system that has been utilized that is captured that will give a report?
No.
Okay.
And
I've heard the one from the sheriff's office because it goes
Right.
at our house kind of a lot. And before, I couldn't understand anything they said, and I could hear them. I can understand.
And that's what I told him today. I haven't heard him on the radio as much as I have in the last, couple months. And he said because he couldn't ever hear anything.
Yeah.
Look, we know safety's number one, and we want it to be done. We just don't want to waste money when
I
there's so
understand.
many areas that need it, but safety is the biggest concern for this county.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to figure it out, and we don't need a glob of money over here, a glob of money over here, and then really and truly having to come back in 6 months and do some type of upgrade that's gonna cost another 200 and something thousand. I've seen that many times in
Sure.
my 10 years here too.
Sure.
But we need to know what's the best thing with data so that we can look at it, because we need to have other areas that need the money.
Oh, I understand.
But that is, safety is the priority.
And just FYI, communications has been a huge subject since I've been dealing with it for 10 years, as far as, the system. And basically, the only thing I've been able to do is basically put Band-Aids on what we have, and I've added a few towers here and there, which, back in the day in those areas, you couldn't even talk on your radio. But I'll do whatever y'all need me to do. Because like I said, right now,
How much longer can we test these?
well, that's just it. This guy's chomping at the bit, and I was just fixing to say, is there any way maybe we could put that tower on hold and see what you guys think about these?
So if it's been 90 days, why are we just now getting it on the end of the time that we?
Because we wanted the appropriate data for
60
you.
days would have been good to bring it before us and allow us 30 days, not to stand before us and ask us today because the time's running out.
I just wanted good, I understand that. I wanted good data for you. I wanted them to be able to test it. And it did get kicked off the
Where's
last.
the data?
Who?
Where's the data? You said you wanted to have good data.
I did.
That's just my personal
And
opinion.
it did get booted off the last one because they thought it was gonna be a big, agenda. So,
Madam Chair.
Yes.
First of all, Brandon, thank you for your presentation, and to the sheriff's office as well. Still haven't heard from the fire department, but at the end of the day, this is about safety, and it's about safety on twofold. It's the safety of our county employees as well as our citizens, because at the end of the day, you want to know what you're going to, what situation you're walking into, as well as dispatching at later times. So the need is definitely there. My main concern is the backup system. I still don't have a clarity on why we need to do that. And I heard part of it, but that's the part that just doesn't sit well with me, in a sense of why, if we're going to move to this. But then you just stated that just take that out of the picture altogether and just do the upcoming system that you're talking about now, right?
the old system is functioning, okay? The problem is
Go ahead.
right here in Greenville, okay? Because we've piled everything up on their tower at the sheriff's office, it has hurt the coverage coming out of Greenville terribly.
Okay.
By moving it to this other tower, it spreads everything out. We're able to put it on a true, I tried to say what this was earlier, it's called a combiner. And I'm not going to get into what that is, but that's the big thing that costs the money to be able to use all those radios on just the two antennas.
When you go to this new system, why is there a need? And this is a area I don't have a lot of
That's okay.
background on. So we're at the mercy of what you're sharing with us.
These work off cell
That's
towers.
because of the cell towers. You know how often they go down. I mean,
Okay.
it's not unusual for the cell
Oh, yeah.
towers to go down and
They also,
can't communicate.
one good thing about them is they also work off of Wi-Fi.
Okay.
So that's another thing, another positive thing about them. If you have Wi-Fi, like in a building or something like that, then you have radio coverage. If you have some other, everything in the vehicle is cellular based pretty much, so that doesn't really help you as far as out in the field, but.
Do any of our vehicles have Wi-Fi? I have it in my truck.
No.
No.
All of the EMS units.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. The ambulances do have it in there.
And what is
The
it?
other departments don't.
The
The other
apps.
departments don't though,
Huh?
right? The other departments don't.
No,
Okay.
It also says there's an app that works with this.
that's right. I'm sorry. I didn't get to everything.
Right
So,
now, if we went with the radios today, we still have some service off of our towers.
yes,
So if we went with this, we could still decide if we're gonna do upgrades
Yes,
to the
ma'am.
tower. I'm understanding.
that was what
correctly.
I was suggesting, but I mean, I understand. I mean, I'm not, believe me, I know. I hated to come to you at the last minute with this anyway, but it's just what happened. Sorry. Yes,
So
ma'am.
my suggestion is contact the individual who owns it. Ask him for a week and a half extension on these systems to allow you to provide the commissioners with the requested information on the dollars.
Okay.
Get that to Michelle. She'll send it out to us. We'll look at it. It can be a quick decision.
You said we could do it at our, go ahead.
I was
Commissioner
just
Plant.
gonna, make sure I understood.
Yes, ma'am.
Total cost of the project, what I'm looking at.
We have two projects that we're dealing with. Just the new project would be just for Meriwether County. Now that also, that's, let me just tell you what that is. That's a radio for every volunteer. That's 2 radios for each ambulance because there's 2 people on it. A mobile radio in there with an outside antenna. And that's for every fire truck, every ambulance, every deputy's vehicle. Animal shelter, public works, radios for admin, code enforcement, basically getting everybody in the county on the same system.
Okay.
So your question was how much it was, $200,000, $10. Matter of fact, if you want,
The question is, how many departments would that total cost be divided up among? Now, you indicated sheriff's office, animal shelter, public works.
it all comes out of my budget, being communications.
Let me ask
So
you,
it wouldn't be divided between multiple
And
departments.
some of this one.
Not our departments, would you hand that down there? That's just the updated quote.
Okay.
so when you provide this other information, can you provide how many radios go to each area?
Yeah, that has it on, but I'll be happy to provide that as well, yeah.
And should the administrator have one?
Yes, she will. Matter of fact, we were talking about having them here at admin.
Madam Chair.
One.
That would probably be helpful to have been in here.
Public Works.
I was saying public works.
That was for the subscription for everybody for the first year. I know it says under. The other thing this covers, Commissioner Threadgill asked, is it also has as many apps that we need for the telephones for those that want to use them. It actually has an app that you put on your
Let me ask you
phone.
this, because these radios are cell-based,
Yes, sir.
and cell phones are honestly cell-based, right?
Yes, sir.
So if they utilize an app on their cell phones or a cell phone that is one of ours, do they really need the additional radio? It's
Yes.
gonna be the same coverage.
Yes, because it uses, the radios actually use a different band and it has an external antenna. So I've had service on this one I didn't on this.
So what you're saying is you don't get the same service on that app that is
No.
from the company that you do.
It just depends on what phone is pushing that app. Like if you have Verizon,
Yeah.
it would be using Verizon towers. Mine's on it. AT&T FirstNet.
All right, so can you talk with them and just say, if we could just have, till
Yes,
we have our
ma'am.
next meeting, but you can get the information to Michelle. Michelle can send it to us before our meeting, and we could be ready to make a decision on the 12th.
Yes, ma'am.
That work?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, any
We do
other
that.
questions from
I
them?
do.
Okay.
For each, sorry. Y'all know I don't want to spend the dollar.
That's all right.
So the sheriff's office, it looks like they would get 50 of the GP 700, but only 40 of the M50.
For that's for those are for the vehicles.
Okay. What's the GP 700?
GP 700 is this unit right here.
Okay.
Radio.
The other one, M50, I think it's called. Is that right?
M50.
That's the mobile radio for inside the vehicle that has the outside antenna.
How many stations does this radio system have?
Channels,
Yes, channels.
as many as we want.
Okay.
So this says yearly service for the first year, 74. What, do they have a projection as to what it will be annually?
Nothing over $75,000.
You said?
And he's gonna give that to me in an addendum agreement. 5 years. Now, also, as long as we pay that, he also covers full maintenance on these. That's not just covering the subscription, that also covers a maintenance contract on the system.
For 36 months.
No,
You said replace any radio
for from years 1 through 5.
But it replaced the radios for 3 years, I thought you
That's what you
said.
said.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean that.
You meant 5?
5 years,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
I think his quote did, but he was gonna give me an addendum to that, because I'm always trying to get whatever I can, but, I've haggled with this guy now for, 3 months over,
Surely he'll give us another couple of weeks till we can.
he will, I'm sure he will. He's just chomping at the bit, and, we got 40 radios in play, and like I said, they've saved our butts, on several occasions. The sheriff's office has jumped out on people running from them, and we're actually able to hear them where they're at, where they're going. We can see them, on the map. So, this is not like anything that we've ever had. So, would you all be interested in hearing what it sounds like?
Yeah.
I didn't think you would be. I thought I'd ask though.
I've heard it.
But, Ms. Shirley, you didn't have any more questions about how it works? Okay.
Are there any other questions or comments? Thank you, Brian. We
Thank you,
appreciate
ma'am.
the
Thank you.
information.
Thank you, folks.
So I guess this will need to be on our, we'll table this to the October 12th meeting. Can we have a motion? Second? All in favor? All right, we'll finish this discussion on the 12th. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, next, Ms. Irizarry has recommended changes to personnel policy, and I think we have copies of that in the very back of our packet.
Yes, Madam Chair and Board. There are 3 sections of the personnel policy that need to be updated. It's section 79, section 91, and section 92, and it's just very outdated. We just want to bring it up to speed. And yes, copies are in your packets. If you have any questions, I can answer those for you.
Some of it's just where things were written one way, one place, and another.
Yes.
and another. Okay. And one's including the holiday. All right, does anybody have any questions?
Just for clarity purposes for myself, the annual leave and sick leave is 4 hours each. Is that?
It depends on how many years of service you have.
But the way it's written in here, I'm going to assume that would be 4 hours of annual and 4 hours of sick per month.
It's grouping it as one. It's 4 hours up until you're here a certain amount of time, and then it goes to 8 hours. The way it's
Which
written.
I think what
This
you're
is
saying
actually where it's-
4 sick and 4 vacation.
It
Is
is.
that correct?
Oh,
It
okay.
is correct.
It's a little confusing.
Okay.
And this is actually where it's just putting it in words. The actual page before it does not need any corrections, and it's actually in a graph.
Oh, okay. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, we have a motion regarding these proposed changes or updates. Have a second? Second. All in favor? Move to report from the county administrator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to remind everyone that the Cotton Fair Festival is this weekend, October 1st and 2nd. It's the 95th edition, so hopefully the weather will stay calm enough for everybody to go out and have a good time. There is a haunted house trick or trunk, and we'll be putting that on the website and Facebook, and that is through Meriwether County Recreation. Yesterday, Paul Jarrell from Three Rivers stopped by and met with me. He and Stephanie will be working closely with us regarding the short-term work program as well as the comprehensive plan update. We've already got the process started to get the notice out and go ahead and send that to the media so that we can go ahead and move forward with that process. We're looking at the beginning of October, early October, for a ribbon cutting at the boat ramp. DNR has it named Meriwether County Landing, and that's just so that DNR can identify easily what it is. It's still our boat ramp. We're looking for a ceremony with the state as well as the Board of Commissioners and anyone else that you feel might be needed or might want to attend this event. The governor did issue an executive order regarding Hurricane Ian. It begins, I believe, tomorrow morning, September 29th at 7 a.m. and will be valid for a period of 29 days, expiring October 28th at 11:59, unless extended by the governor.
October 28th or September?
No, it'll expire October 28th. Yeah, 29 days. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, we have a report from our county commissioners. Commissioner Hines.
On October the 13th, I will be hosting a town hall meeting in conjunction with Mayor Cuddy. It's going to be more like a community. It's going to be a town hall meeting that evening, but early part of the day, we're going to have different resources available for people to come. We're inviting several organizations that service Meriwether County to participate. This is the time of year where people are able to get some assistance for their heating. And one of the biggest problems that we were told is that a lot of people don't have access to the internet to log in and all of that. So we're gonna ask them to come and be in person and try to do this. It's for everyone, it's for the entire county, but we'll be doing it there. So I encourage everyone to come out and participate in that event. And my other comment, once again, I've made it earlier, I will give this information to Michelle, but please look into the funding of the ARPA funds from the state, and also see what we can do with DCA in reference to our fire department. We're gonna need a lot more equipment, and if we can find some other resources to get those equipment, I think that would be a very positive move. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Plant?
I was gonna ask Ms. Jane, would you like to do the report on the Keep Meriwether Beautiful litter survey that we did, or?
We've been busy the last month. It was, September 15th, we had our.
Excuse me, they can't hear on here. Could you come up here, Ms. Jones?
Oh, I'm sorry.
The public can't hear you on the.
Sorry. We do a litter tour every 2 years. And the purpose of that tour is to look at the roads that we originally started with, to see if we've made any difference in our cleanup. And we looked at probably 25 roads. We didn't grade all of them. Some of them we were just passing through, glancing at them and looking at them. But the tour was very good. I think I put this in your box or emailed it to those that are on my mailing list, but we had some roads that were extremely littered, and I put a star by those. And I didn't put whose district. I started trying to figure out whose district was who, and I just gave up on that. I would have to ask all of you, is this your road? But the roads that had the worst, was Primrose, Hill Haven, the far end of it. One end was really clean, the other was terrible. Harry Hardy Road, as Beth knows, is always terrible. Dallas Mill Road. And then Wrights, Bill Road was terrible. I thought that might be your district. But anyway, the overall consensus of the group was, yes, we've made a difference. But we still have a long way to go because we have so many roads, and there's no way we can survey every road. We'd be out on the highway riding for weeks. So this was just a group that really, Public Works put this together, saying these are the roads we think you need to look at. The average score was 13. The highest scores means they're worse, and then the lower scores are better. So you can, if you got that, you can look at it. And then Saturday we had our cleanup, and I put pictures up there for you, so you can see there's still plenty of things out there to be thrown away. And I love your idea of convenience centers. I would really encourage this to happen if we can spend some money on it, because you're spending money now on overtime for Public Works to work on Saturday and Sunday. First of all, they're going on Saturday to check them out, make sure they're okay. And on Sunday, they work this Sunday, packing them down, getting them ready to move out. So that money could be used in a different way. But I want to say how much I appreciate Public Works and what they do for Keep Meriwether Beautiful. We could not do this twice a year without them, and they're just a joy to work with. So thank you for letting them do that, but please have a work session and let's figure out a way to do this. We do it twice a year. We could do it every month.
Thank you, Ms. Jane.
I just want to express my appreciation to you personally for all the hard work that you've done and to keep this program going and keep it active, and for all the volunteers who stepped up and did this. So
Well, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Y'all need to be thinking about who's going to do it in the future. I'm not going to be here.
Adam?
But thank you very much. That's it for me.
Okay. I have a couple of things. The weekend following the Cotton Fair will be the Harvest Hoedown in Warm Springs. That's October the 8th and 9th. And on October the 8th and 9th, also, it's called the Venue at Warm Springs, will be holding their ribbon cutting at 10 a.m. on Saturday the 8th. This is on the property of the old Bullock House. And they've already held one event there, but if you'll go online on Facebook and just pull up the Venue at Warm Springs, it is absolutely beautiful. And so if you're available, they're going to be giving tours on Saturday the 8th and Sunday the 9th, where you can come in and look at it. But it's just a really pretty venue, and I think it'll be an asset to the area. The next thing I want to talk about just a little bit, and Michelle, if you have anything you want to say, this is about Roosevelt Warm Springs. Roosevelt Warm Springs is very important to our county. It's our second largest employer behind the school system. And every few years we sort of go through this thing where there's issues there, concerns about what's going to happen, what they're going to do. And unfortunately, we're going through one of those right now just because there's been some changes in personnel. And Michelle and I had the opportunity to meet with Chris Wells, who is the state director for Georgia Voc Rehab, and his assistant Bethany Wetzel, I guess I'm saying that right. And you know how rumors get started and people are scared that the Institute or Roosevelt Warm Springs has lost a number of employees. A lot of it's just out of fear that things are going to change. And the biggest rumor we've had is that the Roosevelt name was going to be deleted from that. We have it from the governor's office that will not happen. However, in the next few weeks, they will be removing signs down there. They will be replaced, and they have assured us that the Roosevelt name will be on there. But you can imagine what's going to happen when those signs start coming down. So we have agreed with them that we would help spread that word on the county level. The cities will do the same, especially Warm Springs. And just keep that in mind if anybody asks you anything. There are absolutely no plans for that to close. There are some plans for some changes. And with change, there always comes, apprehension and anxiety. But we know how important that is to our area. And we are Representative Buckner and Faye Perdue, who serves on the state Vote Rehab Board have been working tirelessly with this issue, and they've been in contact with us, and we have, like I said, we have been able to meet with Mr. Wells and his assistant, so at this point, we feel pretty confident that everything's gonna move forward in a positive way, but if you do hear anything or have questions, whatever, you can certainly direct them to Michelle or to me to the extent that I can answer them, but at this point, we think it's a positive move, but there will be some changes forthcoming. And that's all I have.
The only thing I have is that we have a major election coming up, so just look for the early voting on that, so when it starts. And also Commissioner McCoy couldn't be here tonight, so he reached out to me. He really wants the boat ramp to have a name of River Cove Landing because it is the road that comes out right at the river there. So he really wants the state to consider to name that boat ramp River Cove Landing. And that's all I have.
All right, I guess our next will be a county attorney.
I have no report. Do we still have a need for executive session?
Not that I'm aware of.
So no need for executive session.
That's good. All right, our future meetings, October the 12th will be our regular meeting at 9 a.m. October the 25th, regular meeting at 6 p.m. Is there any other business to come before the board?
Oh, I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Just hit me. I just want to let Michelle know, for some reason, people are just stealing the street signs. I don't know why. But it's a thing going on. So Jackson Street, that's the name of the street. They've taken the sign down, and there was a gentleman with.
He's back there.
In Appleton area, so we're not sure why people were vandalizing signs. Most times what they do is just shoot them up and paint on them, but now they're actually literally taking
They're
the sign.
100% aluminum. Wall art.
Yeah.
Anyway, we just need to address it and bring Public Works to the attention. And I like to say to those who do this type of vandalism, this is when Commissioner Thrigo talked about the waste of money, it's a waste of money.
Yeah.
The money could be used in so many different, more effective ways.
Absolutely.
But once again, people realize when they, be it fun, whatever, but it's costing taxpayers. But we need, several roads need signage.
Thank you for letting me know. I'll get
3 or
with
4
Public
on
Works.
Albleton, correct?
There's 4 signs.
Right.
North and south of 95 on 362 and on Appleton Road, and they're all missing.
If they're on a state route, we're gonna
Yeah,
have to
we'll get in touch
contact
with
GDOT for those. All right, is any other business to come before the board? Hearing none, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a second? All in favor? All right, we are adjourned at 7:07. Thank you.